behind me, son. Oh, here it is.
We are now live streaming.
I think so. I heard it loud and clear.
All three of the same. Okay. Small crew here. Good evening, everybody. Guess the weather's getting nicer, huh?
Yeah.
So I guess, Matt, we'll start off with you. Any report?
Sure. Well, as Councilman Mazur and I just spoke briefly moments ago, in future meetings, the reports of permits and the breakdown is the number of permits, per item. We're just going to formally submit the report that our software is going to generate. We're going to incorporate the complaints, fire inspections. It's all public information anyways. It'll save councilman time reading through the individual numbers of pool permits, fence permits. So the reports will itemize those as well for those that are interested. And just a slight change in how we report to the board on a regular basis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ed?
A few things. The Senior Center 2022 CEQ grant bids were open. About $100,000 worth of grant amount. The grant numbers are a little over 2 years old. Funds, but there's extra funds available. Once you know that answer.
Yeah.
Then we can come back with a recommendation. The historical building, we received the bids are being rejected, and that's going out to rebid. The bids for the Opera House HVAC were opened, they're over the grant amount, we're waiting for another proposal. Once that comes in, we can look at it, and the county is okay with us not having to go back out to bid. I did talk to them, so we can work with whatever we get and see where we want to
Yeah,
go. with
they're supposed to be here Tuesday, I believe, to come
that.
in.
The proposal?
No, they want to send their engineer in here.
Oh,
I just
okay.
heard that a little while ago, so
Okay.
Carmen was going to reach out to you and let you know.
Youth Bureau doors, the bid was open. There's a recommendation on tonight to award that for the doors and the computer monitoring. Let's see, the Siebert Road culvert. Obviously, the resolution was passed for the bond, and that we just need a decision of how the board wants to proceed. There's no information on the grant. So is it, we wait, push the construction until next year? On the IFCOM, you might get the grant. Even, and one little caveat in there, even if you said, no, we're just going to go ahead and do the work, and so we start the design work, and then you get the grant 2 weeks from now. The only thing you wouldn't get reimbursed is whatever you spent in that 2 weeks. However, just the biggest thing is with the grant, the construction will not be till next year because of the paperwork we have to go through with DOT. Where if we don't use the grant, you can probably be under construction this fall.
And if we start it and we do get the grant, can that grant be used for something similar?
No,
No.
It's just that.
it's yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's the,
Yeah, I'm always a fan of trying to get the money that's not going to be hit
yeah,
the taxpayers.
the issue is that, the road's gonna be closed and the residents are gonna have to understand that you're trying to save the town $500,000-$600,000 by waiting. But there's no guarantee you're gonna get the grant either. I mean, that's the other
Right,
issue.
that's
that's the unknown piece that I
unfortunate they
can't
can't,
answer you.
we can't find that out.
And there's absolutely no temporary repair that we can do that would hold up for a year or something that,
No, because of the way that road is curved there, it takes doing any plating or anything out of the question.
John, have you heard anything about that at all?
Same as that. We've, looked at it and tried to come up with a temporary fix, and, everything we've looked at just isn't feasible. Like I said, the plating, there's a lot of school buses, make it difficult to plow. So, I mean, it's a tough decision. It's a tough time.
How much, by closing down here, how much are we impeding safety on that?
Well, I mean,
We're talking about the-
yeah, I mean, you gotta go around the Brunk to get in there.
Yeah,
Or sagebrush.
Yeah, you can kind of go down around Sagebrush. I'm thinking the fire department would probably go to Brunk, it'd probably be a faster trip for them, going down William to just ease of maneuvering through instead of going through the subdivisions. Ambulance, I'm not sure if they're coming down Bowen to Brunk, I mean, it's not too much of a big difference. Because there aren't too many houses north of Brunk on Seabird, before then it's kind of open land. So I mean, the houses that are there are fairly close to Brunk. It's just a matter of getting to William, you gotta go around.
it's something for us to discuss.
Yeah.
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 Because, so if it's gonna impede safety, and something like this, what do you think our chances are for the grant?
You know, we thought they were pretty good. I mean, you know, it's obviously needed. That wasn't the issue. Well, I mean, we submitted before the problem resulted. So I mean, and it scored fairly well then.
When are they making that decision?
Well, we were told March.
Which March?
Yeah. Well, we heard unofficially the decisions have been made and they're sitting in Albany on someone's desk.
Okay.
So.
So there is a slight chance that we may find out within the next couple of weeks,
Sure.
and that will allow us to make our decision,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Based upon that. So,
Okay.
When is the deadline for the grant, not to, so, what's the farthest out?
To do it this year versus
Yeah.
next year? If you did it with the grant, it's next year period. That's no,
Oh, there's no,
there's no question on that, just because of
the process.
the process we have to go through with DOT. So the flip side of that question is, how long could you wait and make the decision to do it yourself and get it done this year? You could probably push the design until, I wouldn't go much more into mid-June, because it's gonna take a month or so to design it.
So we
Get
got
it out to
around
bid.
another month then.
Yeah, you get it out to bid and, you know, get it under construction.
so if we designed it now and put that money up front,
Yeah, I don't know if you could apply, I think you lose the grant.
no, you wouldn't,
You lose
just wouldn't get-
the money.
You wouldn't get reimbursed. However, I will tell you that how it gets designed is different under the grant versus not under the grant. So that's the red tape we gotta go through with DOT.
So what, all right, so it's Department of Transportation? So they picked them, they're just not telling us who they are? Huh, we'd think one of our elected officials could come back with that information.
Isn't,
Sealed.
I'll hold my comments.
is Mr. Kennedy, Senator Kennedy is on that, isn't he?
Yes, he's head of transportation for the Senate.
I think we gotta reach out to all of them and see if somebody can give us the answer.
Erie Street water line, the contractor's paving is complete. I know the town's doing some shoulder work right now, but it's basically done. Look, it came out good. Town hall soffits, that contract for the design is on tonight's agenda. Windows, preparing bid documents, breaking it down for Opera Town Hall and historic building. And the only other project that I want to have a little discussion on, is we've gone around on this a couple times, is the exterior of the police building. We were under the impression that we could get one point of contract, I should say, through the architect. I questioned that when the architect told me that, and lo and behold, I was right, you can't. New York State Ed does not allow professional license holder, the architect or an engineer for that matter, to hold a construction contract. It's not in the law. Now, a contractor can hire an architect. That's allowed under design build. Don't ask me why, but it is. So I'm trying to find out if there are some provisions in the law that was passed about 4 or 5 years ago, predominantly for New York City, but I'm trying to see if that's been expanded, that if you go that route, you don't have to go out to basically a bid. We could reach out. In this case, I would recommend Raymond Kelly, Mason, because they did all the investigation, they wrote up the report, they know what's going on. And I would go to them and say, look, you know, we'd like to sit down and negotiate with you, bring on the architect you need to do the work, So that's what I'm looking into right now. And then going back to the senior center real quick on the grant, of the 3 items, pickleball, sidewalk, and gazebo, like I said, we're trying to find out if HUD'll give us more money. We got about 300 some thousand, if I remember right. Based on the bids that came in, you could probably get 2 of the 3 items done under the grant. Then you could kind of pick and choose which of the 2 you want. No matter how you add it up, you kind of get to the same place. The gazebo came in pretty much on budget, about 200 grand. Sidewalks, concrete is way up. That was 126,000. And the pickleball courts are about double what they were about 4 years ago. And they're about 80,000 for 1 court, including the fencing. Fencing is minor. That's due to I'm assuming due to the price of asphalt.
What's the total it misses by?
100 grand. But we've reached out to our contacts that we're dealing with on the grant and just waiting for a response on whether or not there's additional funds. In the past, for other projects, they have found additional funds, but there's no guarantee they'll find some for here, so we'll wait and see what they say.
Unfortunately, they're facing that all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Alden, the same thing happened. They came in 300,000 over their grant on whatever project they're doing. The problem is the grants take so long to get through that, you get an estimate and it's 2 years before you get to do what we do, go out to bid, so the prices have changed considerably over what you put in the grant to start with.
Okay.
That's it.
Diane, clerk's office?
We're still collecting for the town county taxes. It's the end of next month, and I think we've had 1 day so far this year without any money coming in. So, that's it.
The business.
Yep.
Attorney's office?
Just briefly, my office put out a couple resolutions that got past me. So I'm going to change the protocols. We're going to send you guys out what resolutions we're working on and ask you who's going to be sponsoring and are there anything, any complexities or specifics, whether there's a grant involved, stuff like that. That number 14 was, we just screwed it up. So we had the wrong sponsor. We had you seconding before we even brought it to the meeting. And there was no mention that a very significant portion of that expenditure was coming from grant money. So we're going to try and do a better job of asking each of you, do you know something about this, rather than just going off whatever letter or email we get. Because oftentimes we don't have all the information, but I will make it incumbent upon our office to find that out before we draft these things.
There's
So, you know.
the chair for the committees.
And she was doing some of that, yeah, she was doing some of that.
Designates who sponsors the resolutions.
Right, and sometimes that's right, and then sometimes we're asked to do something by somebody, and we're just going back to the chair instead of who it was that asked us without looking any further, and I don't want that to be the case coming out of my office. It looks like we're not paying attention to what's going on around us.
Yes, 17 and 18 are basically being paid for by the county. Frank Tadaro arranged for a grant for both those things. After we went out there on a little trip, he found the money to pay for those. So, again, we just want to make sure that if it's coming from the county like that, or if it's coming from the state, we give proper credit to those individuals who have pulled in the money to pay for the things in the town of Lancaster.
Happy to do that if I know. And so we're going to ask. We're going to try to be a little more proactive in getting that information before we draft these things. And then one other thing, if I just might, with respect to highway, I was speaking to a resident today on another matter, and then asked me, do I know that very nice John Pilato? We called, we asked them for a service, they were out within 24 hours, and they couldn't be more happy. So I just thought I'd pass that along, because we're all pretty quick to, hey, why didn't this happen? I figured I'd throw that at you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Well, John, since you're up, yeah,
Okay, so my way.
Just send it to my office the same time you send it to. Thank you.
We have been diligently working on brush pickup. It's extremely heavy this time of year. It seems like it's worse this year than in previous years because of the heavy winters and the storms that we've had. So, we're asking residents to be patient. We have 2 grapplers and a chip truck that are out every day. It just takes us a while to get to everybody. As Ed said, the paving on Erie Street is completed. Our crews are working on cleaning up that north side and shoring it up a little bit just to pretty it up. We started the rehab of Sawgrass today. Should take us a couple days to get in there. It's finally dry enough so we can kind of get it back to its original state. So I'm hoping that the residents in your neighborhood will be happy. They should be. And
They are.
good. Just started rebuilding DIs for paving, and we're starting milling next week. So we're going to be busy milling and paving for the next month.
Question for you, John?
Yep.
The brush dump, I've driven past there a couple different times, and it was...
The which one? The what?
Where we're putting the brush on Genesee.
On Genesee? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Driven past it a couple different times, and the gates were not locked.
Okay.
Is somebody locking them up every night?
They should be locked every night
Okay.
by the crew chiefs.
Okay.
Yeah. We did, on a side note, I called the police department on Saturday. We have that log jam at Quitec, and he was able to get in there with equipment himself on Saturday. Obviously, we weren't working Saturday. He asked if he could dump at our facility, save us the time and the expense of going there, so we allowed him. He took 6 dump trailer loads over there, so that should start flowing better
Oh, like the
now.
creek will flow?
Yes.
Where is this?
Yes. 525 Ellicott?
527 Pleasant View Drive, there was a makeshift bridge put over the creek,
Holding stuff.
caused serious log jams
Yeah.
along that section of the creek there, and it finally took an appearance ticket to get some action and response from the homeowner.
The gentleman had his own equipment. We offered to help this week picking up the brush and taking it with the grappler to Genesee. But he called me and asked if he could just do it himself, and I said, by all means, it's going to save us time.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Very good.
thanks.
Somebody put a bridge up there?
The trailer deck over the top of the creek.
Okay.
For the coyotes.
Hello. Break the microphone first time. I'm going to start by thanking Highway Superintendent John Pilato and also the entire Lancaster Town Council for the opportunity to continue to do, hopefully great work for our community. So the first couple of weeks have been learned a lot. I also want to say John and Michelle Barbaro, they've been excellent as far as training, getting me up to speed very quickly. It was, maybe 3 or 4 days heavy training, but John's been guiding me and consulting whenever I need him, all hours of the day. So John's just so that transition has been great and very responsive and supportive and open to new suggestions, new ideas. So that's the support and the relationship with the board as well. Just everyone I've talked to throughout the week, from Matt to Ed earlier today and Thomas earlier. I appreciate that, and we'll continue to communicate. So, as far as the last couple of weeks, a lot of it is community outreach. So I'm very passionate about getting out and talking to people in the parks. Like just today, talked to the RC guys over at Walden Ponds, or going over to Westwood, just talking to people, see what we can do better. A lot of our parks look great, but I want to hear what we're not doing good, how we can do better with everything. So, held roundtable discussions over the senior center, a couple pickleball, the demand for pickleballs there. So that's high on our priority list. Seniors have been excellent, sharing all their wisdom with our departments, and that's been going great. We walked for the ponytails, we walked the whole fields with their president and vice president, took a couple hours. And like I said, I don't want to see it's great to hear, yeah, we're doing great, but what are we not doing well? So walked through the whole park, went through their whole checklist, and like a lot of things, it's like, is that it? And my mentality, that I want to do that in a week, not 2 years. I want to take care of everything. I was pretty close to at least have a plan for all their concerns, from drainage to their hunting facility, just making sure that their needs are addressed. And communication. The president, like Jeff Matthews, he'll communicate. We text multiple times a day, and I want to have the relationship with all the youth sports programs and all the adult programs. So at least we're all talking, we're communicating. The football, a lot of these needs, they're not big ask as far as, hey, I'm looking for, our bleachers to be painted, or we're looking for new bases or something, depending on what sport and what activity. And the pickleball, hey, I want netting for the back of our courts. So it's things like that where we can address them quickly, or at least get an eyes and formulate a plan. I can't solve everything overnight, but as far as just having a plan, big picture, but also getting, talking to the citizens, talking to residents. Like a lot of trees, John gave you a crash course leading up to the Arbor Day, but going out on a tree call and at least, have enough knowledge to say, hey, here's what this isn't a dead tree, or this is what it's suffering from. So that's been great, the forestry aspect of it. I've been invited to multiple board meetings, from soccer to baseball to the ponytails, and offer that. Hey, I'll come to your board meeting. I'll sit in. Let me hear, like I said, what do we need to improve on? So once again, pickleball comes up. Looking at new courts throughout the town. North Towns are looking for. Also met with the athletic director at Lancaster High School, Eric Rupp. Formulated a plan for that relationship to go, and I don't see any obstacles for getting more access to their fields and them, and likewise having access to our fields. So that was one conversation, and I feel very confident we were going to have a great working relationship. Same thing we did with St. Mary's, a big, another high school in our community. Sat down with Zach, and then we had, we just a lot of shared services. They're using our fields through agreements they've had for years, but also they have an amazing basketball field house that would be perfect for our basketball program, or the high school. You utilize Boys and Girls Club, you utilize everything to expose a real good relationship for growing our basketball program. So those are two big entities as far as the school side. And then just an update, I know a lot of resources have been spent over at the Brickyard over in Westwood. So today we started digging in. We're going to do most work in the house to complete that field. But our goal is for that field to be the best field in Western New York. And right now, everything from the plate in is the best grassing field in Western New York. We just got to fix up all around it. So John and I went out there today, have a solid plan. We're targeting July 5th as a realistic date. A number we're going to hit, make sure the field is ready. When we roll it out, I think it's going to be amazing. So once again, we're setting our goal. We want to be the best. And I think we'll hit that. So.
And Bruce, you mentioned pickleball. I don't know if you're aware, but there is another court that's part of the Community Block Development Program grant that's coming in.
Okay.
So another court will be coming in there along with the shelter and things like the sidewalks being expanded. So there's a lot of things being happened. I think it's $367,000.
I know.
If that price holds.
Yeah, if it holds.
I know they were talking, the seniors had mentioned to me about the north side.
Yep.
Like there's a dire need for something on the north side and for pickleballs,
Yep.
courts on there. And I know the school at one time was not a big fan of it at like Hillview. They wanted, but maybe we can.
And they've converted, even at Como Lake Park, they converted just with a couple extra stripes. The net's a little higher than pickleball, but they're running leagues over at Como Lake and the courts. And a lot of it is just shrinking that court down with some netting on the back and come up with a system to keep the ball in the court. So a lot of the seniors do not want to run, like I do not want to run for the balls as far as,
Sure.
just shrinking those courts down, making them more user-friendly. So the pickleball, we're looking at maybe Mechanic Street. We're looking at the high school. We're looking at some other things that could work for pickleball, because there's 2,500 seniors and probably 2,400 of them play pickleball. So it's pretty intense.
Huge, man.
So I mean, any questions, any suggestions? I'm like a couple weeks in, but we're getting in front of client facing. We're in front of the residents, and like I said, any questions, I'm available. If you don't have my cell phone number, it's all about communication. So
Thanks.
that's all I got.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Chief, anything?
Just kind of want to mimic what Bruce said. It's an honor and a privilege again to be here. We started canvassing for new officers this past week, anticipating 2 hires, one to replace Chief Karn and an officer that's going to be retiring in August.
We also canvassed our current lieutenants to start the process to pick out the next administrative lieutenant to help fill the gap that we're missing without the third captain. As of right now, we're hoping to conduct interviews with lieutenants later this week.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we got a couple of minutes before we start our meeting. Take a break.
For example, special use permits. But expenditures, like we talked about, reimbursement.
So it's kind of like,
Nobody cares about that.
It's a lot less, it's
The
different.
complexity.
It's kind of like a
Who else
mix
might be
between
involved? Like
tennis and ping pong.
So in this
It's a
one,
giant ping pong kind of.
looks like-
Paddle's different, ball's different. Yeah, we're paid with marks, north and fire.
Consolidated Water District.
Right.
Well, unless somebody's giving us money.
One lane and it doubles up.
Yeah,
But
but
in the head 14.
I would think you would definitely know about that, because it's gonna be a whole lot of money coming in there. But again, I've asked Ed to send us, if somebody is, sending us money to complete the project.
All right, well, I'll talk with them about that separately.
Okay.
Paraclock.
See it.
You said what number, 17?
They just see themselves.
It's working out with you guys.
Okay.
Again, it's not a big deal.
Well, that's just a request for bids.
Yeah.
That's not an authorization.
That one.
That one's good?
17 and 18. No. Yeah, and 18. Yep.
All right. All right, I'll talk to her.
Just to make sure.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I don't, you know,
Yeah.
have help here else I can't fix it.
Right. Exactly. So that way we know when it's coming in, the state or the county or feds are paying for it.
I'll keep an eye open for those types of things.
Great.
Oh, I forgot to ask you. I was contacted by the attorneys from both sides on 4781.
It's last, close to the end. Last one.
Number 22. All right. I've been asked by both attorneys to pull that. They're not, neither one of them's happy with the language, and they have to finish what they have to do in order to
So 22 is going to be pulled?
lawsuit. So I'm going to ask you to pull 22.
Pull 22?
Yes, please. And that was, again, attorneys both for the developer and for the complex. On the top of the plaza, as well as
There's, okay, because I know Palumbo was working with the guy behind him. There,
It's working with both sides. The developer obviously works for them, and then that 45-foot strip
okay.
that they're being deeded. One of the glitches that came up is there's a mortgage on that property, and they need to get a release from the deed holder, from the bank, for that 45-foot strip. Or else they can't transfer it.
I'm glad they worked it out where they changed the building, and changed. Well, yeah, they did. Lowered it, and got it going in the same direction. You can see it. You can see that. At least you can see that back plaza now. So,
And they're working together.
well, that's what you want.
Absolutely.
22 is pulled, you said?
Yes, please, page 22. You're on here, the reason you were on here is because on the original number 14 has
Quick but efficient.
One would hope.
okay. The other one had, she took it out, but then it didn't go back in. On the original one, it had you, and then it had already been seconded by Adam Bickler.
She just
didn't change the time,
Yep, yep.
but that was a Councilmember Leary request.
Okay.
In 17 and 18, if you want to say when you're reading it, that the county's going to be paying for those?
Sure.
Okay, great.
Call the meeting to order. Dan, would you please do roll?
Councilmember Burkhart.
Here.
Councilmember Dickman.
Here.
Councilmember Leary.
Here.
Councilmember Mazer.
Here.
Supervisor Rufino.
Here. Councilmember Mark Burkhart, can you do the pledge and invocation, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Amen.
Okay, so we are pulling resolution number 22, and Councilmember Leary has resolution number 14. So does anybody want to start? So we have 21 pre-filed resolutions, no suspended resolutions. We have 2 public hearings, 3 executive sessions, which all fall under number 1, proposed pending or current litigation. We close in memory of Julianne Aquino. Please keep the Aquino family in your prayers. This is the second daughter they lost in less than a year. So at this point, I'll ask anybody if they'd like to speak on any of the 21 pre-filed resolutions. I'll ask for a second time and a third time. Okay. Any official reports?
Nothing other than was spoken during the work session. Thank you.
Okay.
Same in the work session.
Okay. Report of town board committees? Anything?
Planning board,
Go ahead.
planning board, we have a planning board meeting this Wednesday at 7 o'clock. There's a couple of things on the docket to discuss.
The library is having a chicken barbecue on Sunday, May 22nd. Also, they're having one Sunday, July 17th. We'll have a reminder on that. But that starts, I believe, at noon until they're sold out. So they go pretty quickly there, but get the word out there if you want to get a great chicken barbecue dinner at the library.
I just wanted to mention the garbage contract is up at the end of this year, so I've been working with Tom Fowler in the attorney's office. He's been going through the contracts. There are some options. There's actually something in the contract that gives us the right to extend it if we want. There's a couple different options, or of course we could always put it out to bid again, but we're working on everything. Just probably in the next meeting or 2 we'll have a better update, just to let everybody know it's on the radar. It's being taken care of thanks to Tom.
Okay. Good. Okay, we'll do a couple resolutions, and then we're going to stop for a public hearing. I'd like to move as number 1, and this was out the minutes of the regular meeting of the town board held May 1st, 2023, being hereby approved. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Leary.
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer.
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino.
Yes. I'd like to move as number 2, this is out the following audit claims, being hereby ordered paid from the respective accounts as per absent to be filed in the office of the town clerk by the supervisor's office. It's check run number 05152023. Total amount to be paid is $1,191,667.71. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Leary.
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer.
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino.
Yes. We're going to break for our public hearings. We have 2 of them. Can I have a motion to open the first public hearing, which
Motion.
is to amend the LL Commercial Unlicensed Vehicle.
Motion to open?
Second.
On the roll, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Legal notice hereby given that the town board of Town of Lancaster will hold 2 public hearings on the 1st and 15th of May, 2023 at 7:05 at Town Hall, 21 Central Avenue, for the purpose of considering and possibly revising a local law to amend the Town of Lancaster Code, Chapter 400, zoning, Article 4, updating 400-16D, commercial and/or unlicensed vehicles in residential areas. Copies of the revised local law can be reviewed at the Lancaster Town Hall, 21 Central Avenue, during normal business hours and on the town's Lancaster's website. all members of the public shall be heard. So with that being said, does anybody want to speak on that public hearing? And I'll ask for a second time and a third time. Can I have a motion to close public hearing number 1?
Motion to close?
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Can I have a motion to open public hearing number 2?
Motion open?
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll, please.
All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, public hearing number 2, be it, now therefore be it ordered that a meeting of the Town Board of Town of Lancaster will be held at the Town Hall, 21 Central Avenue, Lancaster, New York, on May 15th, 2023, at 7:05 p.m., or shortly thereafter, to consider said increase in improvements of facilities of the district and to hear all persons interested in the subject thereof concerning the same and for such other action on the part of the Town Board in relation to as may be required by law. Be it further ordered that the expense of said increase and improvements of facilities shall be financed by the issuance of serial bonds of the town in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $3,450,000, and said amount to be offset by any federal, state, county, and/or local funds received, and unless paid from other sources or charges, including but not limited to water rents. The cost of said increase and improvements of facilities shall be paid by the assessment, levy, and collection of special assessments from the several lots and parcels of land within the district which the town board shall determine and specify to be especially benefited thereby. So much upon and from each as shall be in just proportion the amount of benefit conferred upon the same, to pay the principal of and interest on said bonds as the same shall become due and payable, except as provided by law. And be it further ordered, the town board may establish water rents as provided in paragraph D of subdivision 3 of the town law, section 198. Be it further ordered that this resolution shall constitute the declaration or reaffirmation of the town's official intent to reimburse the expenditures of said increase and improvements of facilities with the proceeds of bonds, notes, or other obligations required by United States Treasury Regulations, section 1.150-2, and be it further ordered that the town clerk publish at least once in each newspaper designated as the official newspaper of town for such publications, and post on the signboard of the town maintained pursuant to subdivision 6 of section 30 of the town law. A copy of this order certified by said town clerk, the first publication thereof, said posting to be not less than 10 nor more than 20 days before the date of such public hearing. Does anybody want to speak about public hearing number 2? I'll ask for a second time and a third time. Have a motion to close public hearing number 2.
Motion to close.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, we're going to carry on with our regular meeting. Move on to resolution number 3, which Councilmember Mazur has.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution and move forward to adoption. Be it resolved that the following building permit applications be and hereby reaffirmed. There were a total of 88, 66 in the town and 22 in the village for a total of 88. Now therefore it be resolved that the building permit applications here encoded CSW for conditional sidewalk waiver be and are hereby reaffirmed with a waiver of the town ordinance required for sidewalks. However, the waiver is granted upon the express condition the town of Lancaster at a future date reserves the right to order sidewalk installation at the expense of the property owner.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Dickman, you have resolutions number 4 through 6, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board. I offer resolutions 4, 5, and 6 for adoption. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster does hereby grant the special use permit renewal to Tanya M. Bradford for the home occupation of a hair salon on the premise located at 30 Woodgate Drive, Lancaster, New York, upon the terms and conditions set forth in the zoning ordinance for the period beginning May 4th, 2023 and ending May 3rd, 2025, and that the applicant will continue in compliance with conditions as set forth in home occupations and special use permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, and do any additional conditions listed herein as long as the applicant continues to engage in the home occupation on the premise, namely, and that's that there is no signage, the special use permit terminates when they no longer reside there, it's to be renewed every 2 years, The applicant will obtain New York State federal tax ID number. Only persons residing at the premise shall be engaged in the occupation, and they will authorize representatives from the building inspector's office to enter the premise upon reasonable notice.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
Number 5. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster does hereby grant the renewal of the special use permit to Joshua Strell for the home occupation of a seasonal rental business office on the premise located at 5898 Broadway, Lancaster, New York, upon terms and conditions set forth in the zoning ordinance for the period beginning May 1st, 2023 and ending April 30th, 2025, and that the applicant will continue in compliance with conditions set forth in Chapter 400, Article 4, Residential Districts of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, and if the applicant continues to engage in the home occupation on the premise, and any additional conditions listed here, and that's that the permit will expire when they no longer reside there. It's a 2-year permit. They must provide a copy of their business papers. Temporary signs are allowed to be placed on the premise if they're in compliance with code. Only persons residing on the premise shall be engaged in the business, and they will authorize representative from the building inspector's office to enter upon reasonable notice.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
And number 6, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster does hereby grant the renewal of the special use permit to Lynette M. Metzger Trustlow for the home occupation of the dog grooming service at the premise located at 33 Meadowlea Drive, Lancaster, New York, upon conditions set forth in the zoning ordinance for the period beginning May 15th, 2023 and ending May 14th, 2025, and that the applicant will continue in compliance with the conditions set forth by home occupations and special use permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster as long as the applicant continues to engage in this home occupation on the premise, and any additional conditions listed. And these are that the special use permit terminates when they no longer reside there. There should be no signage. Permits to be renewed every 2 years. They are to provide a copy of New York State business papers. Only persons residing should be engaged in the occupation. They will authorize representatives from the building inspector's office upon reasonable notice, and there should be no change to the outside appearance of the building.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Burkhart, would you move number 7 and 8, please?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board. I am offering Resolutions 7 and 8 for adoption. Whereas by letter dated May 2nd, 2023, John Plato, Highway Superintendent of the Town of Lancaster, has recommended that the Town of Lancaster approve the reimbursement of $12,077.97 to Tokyo Marine HCC, Auburn Hills, Michigan, for deductible recovery reimbursement. And whereas John Plato further recommended that the Town of Lancaster approve payment of Department of Public Services, 3 Empire State Plaza, Albany, New York, in the amount of $2,500 for damage to an underground facility, and whereas these projects will be paid for as follows. A, Tokyo Marine HCC in the amount of $12,077.97 from Highway Budget Line 13-5110-0426, repairs and maintenance, and B, Department of Public Services in the amount of $2,500 from Highway Budget Line 13-5110-0449, other classified. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Lancaster hereby approves the expenditure of funds as requested by Highway Superintendent John Plato to Tokyo Marine HCC in the amount of $12,077.97, and the Department of Public Services in the amount of $2,500.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
Resolution 8, whereas by letter dated May 2nd, 2023, John Plato of the Town of Lancaster Highway Superintendent has requested the Town Board approve expenditures for the purchase of Go Notify Citizens Notifications and Alert subscription for smartphones to allow the Highway Department to notify residents when the town will have street closings or other work performed. And whereas by letter dated May 2nd, 2023, John Plato has recommended the town of Lancaster authorize said expenditure to GoGov Inc. For non-emergency application and at a cost not to exceed $4,800 annually, and whereas this project will be paid for with funds from account 13-5110-0451 professional services. Now therefore it be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby approves the expenditure of funds as requested by Highway Superintendent John Plato to GoGov Inc. for the GoGov non-emergency application at a cost not to exceed $4,800 annually.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Mazer, would you move resolution number 9, please?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution and move for its adoption. Whereas on May 1st, 2023, the Town Board adopted a negative declaration for the site plan amendment of Plum Creek Apartment Development at 5680 Broadway, the Town of Lancaster, Erie County, New York. And whereas this said resolution improperly designated the description of the project, and whereas the Town Board now considers the amended site plan for the construction of a 126 by 60 apartment building with 10 residential units and built-in garage spaces and one 112 by 24 6-unit ancillary garage building at 5680 Broadway in the Town of Lancaster. Whereas the Town of Lancaster Planning Board has reviewed the environmental impact of this construction project pursuant to seeker regulations at their meeting on April 19th, 2023, and recommended that a negative declaration be issued in project using the long environmental assessment form, the criteria for determining significance set forth in the seeker regulations, and such other information deemed appropriate, including the recommendation of the Town of Lancaster Planning Board. And whereas the Town Board has identified the relevant areas of environmental concern, has taken a hard look at these areas, has made a reasoned elaboration of this basis for its determination, and whereas the proposed action has been labeled an unlisted action under seeker, now therefore be it resolved by the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster that, number one, based upon the Town Board's thorough and careful review of the proposed construction of the apartment building with 10 residential units and built-in garage spaces and one 6-unit ancillary garage building at 5680 Broadway in the Town of Lancaster, this project will not have result in any significant environmental impacts, and therefore the board hereby issues the attached negative declaration of environmental significance pursuant to seeker for the reasons stated therein. 2, the town clerk shall file a copy of the negative declaration in the file for the project. 3, the town attorney's office shall prepare and file a notice of determination of non-significance with the petitioner and with all required New York State and Erie County agencies, filing a copy of the letter of transmittal. Number 4, this resolution is effective immediately.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Leary, would you move number 10, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor and honorable town board members, I move this resolution for adoption. Whereas Councilman Robert Leary of the Lancaster Town Board has recommended the appointment of Deborah Lemaster as a member of the Town of Lancaster Ethics Review Board. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Deborah Lemaster, Lancaster, New York, be and is hereby appointed a member of the Town of Lancaster Ethics Review Board for the term of May 16, 2023 through December 31st, 2026, thereby filling the unexpired term of Paul Ziolkowski. And be it further resolved that the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 11. Now therefore be it resolved, the following individuals are hereby appointed to the following part-time temporary seasonal positions in the Highway Department for a period not to exceed 5 months. That these being part-time positions provide no health, insurance, sick days, vacations, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time temporary employees. There's 4 people, they're being hired as laborers at $15 an hour. Be it further resolved, the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 12. Now therefore be it resolved and determined by the town board of the town of Lancaster based on the information provided at the public hearing as follows. Determined that it is in the public interest to increase and improve the facilities of the district as here and above described and referred to at the estimated maximum cost of $3,450,000, and is hereby determined that the parcels and lots of the district shall be benefited by said increase and improvements of the facilities of the district, and is hereby determined that all parcels and lots benefited by said increase and improvements of facilities are included in the district, and is hereby ordered that the facilities of the district shall be so increased and improved, and that the engineer shall prepare plans and specifications and make a careful estimate of the expense for such increase and improvements of facilities, and with the assistance of the town attorney, prepare a proposed contract for the execution of the work, which plans and specifications, estimate and proposed contract shall be presented to the town board as soon as possible, and be it further ordered that the expense of the district improvement shall be financed by the issuance of serial bonds in the town, the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $3,450,000, said amount to be offset by any federal, state, county, and/or local funds received, and unless paid from other sources or changes, the cost of said increase and improvements of facilities shall be paid by the assessment levy and collection of special assessments from the several lots and parcels of land within the district, which the town board shall determine and specify to be expressly benefited thereby so much upon and from each as shall be in the just proportion to the amount of benefit conferred upon the same, to pay the principal and the interest on said bonds as the same shall become due payable, except as provided by law. And is hereby further ordered, the town board may establish water rents as provided in paragraph D of subdivision 3 of town law section 198, and further ordered that within 10 days after adoption of the resolution and order, the town clerk will record with the clerk of the county of Erie a copy of this resolution and order certified by said town clerk. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question. On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Okay, I'd like to move resolution number 13, a bond resolution dated May 15, 2023, of the Town Board of Town of Lancaster, Erie County, New York, authorizing a capital improvements project within the Town of Lancaster Consolidated Water District at an estimated maximum cost of $3,450,000, and authorizing the issuance of serial bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $3,450,000 of the town pursuant to the local finance law to finance said purpose, said amount to be offset by any federal, state, county, and/or local funds received, and delegating the power to issue bond anticipation notes, anticipation of the sale of such bonds to the town supervisor. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Leary, would you move resolution number 14, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor and honorable town board members, I move the following resolution for adoption. Whereas the town board previously solicited professional services proposal for design and construction services related to the repair of the clock contained in the clock tower at Lancaster Town Hall, and whereas due to the unique qualifications required, 2 companies were requested to submit quotes, and whereas White's Clock and Carolyn Northeast Incorporated responded with the lowest responsible quote, and whereas Edward Schiller, town engineer, by letter dated May 2nd, 2023, has recommended proceeding with the proposal submitted November 28th by White's Clock and Carolyn Northeast Incorporated, located in Pulaski, New York, in an amount not to exceed $37,408. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby accepts the proposal submitted by White's Clock and Carolyn Northeast Incorporated from Pulaski, New York, in an amount not to exceed $37,408. which includes a $25,000 grant from the County of Erie through the Honorable Frank J. Tadaro, and the remainder of the $12,408 to be paid from funds in the Town Hall Repair Capital Account number 90215. Be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to execute the contract upon receipt and approval by the Town Attorney's Office of the required documents and insurance certificates.
May I have a second
Second.
on the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 15. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Lancaster hereby accepts the proposal of Kidney Architects, 143 Genesee Street in Buffalo, in an amount not to exceed $27,850 to be paid from the funds in the Town Hall Repair Capital Account number 90215. And be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to execute the contract upon receipt and approval by the Town Attorney's Office of the required documents and insurance certificates. May I have a second?
Second?
On the question. On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Burkhardt, number 16, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board. I am offering Resolution 16 for adoption. Whereas the Lancaster Town Board has entered into an agreement with Flynn Battaglia Architects to provide architectural services for the Town of Lancaster's exterior restoration project at 40 Clark Street, Lancaster, New York. And whereas Flynn Battaglia Architects has requested that the Town Board authorize an invitation to rebid for the Town of Lancaster's exterior restoration project at Lancaster Historical Society Building within the Town of Lancaster. And whereas the Town Board has given due review and consideration to the request for the Town of Lancaster's exterior restoration project at Lancaster Historical Society Building and deems it in the public's interest to invite public bids in conformance with General Municipal Law, Section 103 of the State of New York. Now therefore it be it resolved that one, that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby invites public bids for the Town of Lancaster's exterior project at 40 Clark Street. Said bids are to be in conformance with the plans and specifications which can be examined at the office of the Town Clerk in the office of Flynn Battaglia Architects, P.C., 617 Main Street, Suite S-401, Buffalo, New York, and completed applications are to be received in the office of the Town Clerk, 21 Central Avenue, Lancaster, New York, no later than 10 a.m. local time on Friday, June 16, 2023, and open thereafter. 2, contract documents may be obtained at Avalon Document Services, 40 La Riviere Drive, Suite 150, Buffalo, New York. Plans and specifications can be viewed digitally on the Construction Exchange Plan Room at connexbuff.com and can be purchased digitally or in hard copy from the website. All agenda, if any, will be sent via email no later than June 9th, 2023. 3, that the town clerk be and is hereby authorized to have a notice to bidders published in the Lancaster Bee and to have said notice posted as required by law, which notice shall be in the form attached hereto and made of part hereof.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 17. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Lancaster hereby accepts the proposal submitted by Imperial Doors in an amount not to exceed $27,154 to pay from funds in account number 17310.211. Be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to execute the contract upon receipt and approved by the Town Attorney's Office of the required documents and insurance certificates. The county, our county legislator, Frank Tadaro, assisted in getting us funds to help with this. So with that, I'll ask for a second.
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 18. Now there be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Lancaster hereby accepts the proposal submitted by Fire Safety Systems in an amount not to exceed $2,672.49 to be paid from funds in account number 17310.211, and be it further resolved, the supervisor is authorized to execute the contract upon receipt and approval by the town attorney's office with required documents and insurance certificates. Once again, the county legislator assisted in getting these funds for us. So may I have a second?
Second,
On the question?
I just want to make a comment and thank Labor Crew Chief Carmen Ciccarelli, who helped out on resolutions 14, 16, 17, and 18, and helped us secure funding from Frank Tadaro at the county as well. Thank you for your work.
On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 19. Now therefore be it resolved, the following individuals are hereby appointed to the following part-time temporary seasonal positions in the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Department for a period not to exceed 5 months, and that these being part-time positions provide no health insurance, sick days, vacations, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time temporary employees. There's numerous employees in here for various rates, laborers, tennis supervisors, recreation attendants. Again, we're starting to gear up for our summer courses. Lifeguards are in here as well. So be it further resolved, the supervisor of the town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Mazer, number 20, please.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution, move for its adoption. Whereas Gary McKiniak submitted an application to amend his approved site plan for his as-built improvements by 21 Pavement Road LLC, prepared by Greenman Peterson Incorporated, for the proposed pavement expansion, approximately 2,200 square feet along the existing paved drive on the north end of the project site located at 21 Pavement Road in the town of Lancaster, and whereas the town, acting as lead agency, duly considered the request for the project, including the recommendation of the Lancaster Planning Board in conformance with seeker, and on June 3rd, 2019, issued a negative declaration, and whereas the original site plan was approved by Lancaster Town Board by resolution dated June 3rd, 2019, with conditions, whereas the as-built survey for the project was submitted to the planning board, which after zoning board of appeals granted setback relief and following due consideration voted to recommend approval to the town board at their May 3rd, 2023 meeting, and whereas the planning board recommendation issued May 3, 2023 was predicated upon an examination of potential environmental impact as a result of the revised site plan, and no impact having been identified, no repeat or additional coordination under seeker was required or initiated. And whereas the amendment to the site plan is to keep the project as built insofar as there was a deviation from the original site plan. Now therefore be it resolved, Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby approves the amended site plan submitted by Gary McKiniak, 21 Pavement Road, LLC, prepared by Greenman Peterson Incorporated, for the proposed pavement expansion of approximately 2,200 square feet along the existing paved drive on the north end of the project site located at 21 Pavement Road.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 21. Now therefore be it resolved, the following individual is hereby appointed to the following part-time permanent position in the Town of Lancaster Supervisor's Office, working not more than 19 3/4 hours per week, that this being part-time position provides no health insurance, sick days, vacations, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time employees. It's Lynn King, actually she's going back to their normal 3/4 hours. Be it further resolved that supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. And as I stated earlier, we have pulling resolution number 22. So we will go on to our communications. Our clerk is ready.
Yes.
Okay. Number 254 is received and filed. 255, resolution tonight. 256 through 260, received and filed. 261 and 262, resolution tonight. 263 and 64, received and filed. 265, resolution tonight. 266, received and filed. 267 and 268, resolution tonight. 269, received and filed. 270, resolution tonight. 271 and 72, received and filed. 273 is the Planning Committee. 274 through 277, resolution tonight. 278 and 279, Planning Committee. 280 through 282, received and filed. 283, resolution tonight. And 284 is received and filed. We come to the part of the meeting where anybody can talk about any subject matter that they'd like. If you would like, raise your hand, I will call you, you will come up to the podium, give your name and address for the clerk to record, you will be limited to 5 minutes. So anybody in the audience like to speak? I'll ask for a second time, and a third time. I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session?
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll, please.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Thank you for attending, and have a great night.